Welcome, Heather Cover-Kus. Would you tell our viewers, please, a little bit about yourself and your organisation?
Sure. So I'm from the Commonwealth Secretariat, and I work in the Economic, Youth, Social and Sustainable Development Directorate. And the Commonwealth Secretariat is essentially a family of 53 member states that are held together by common values and a common mission and principles that we hold together. We cover about all of the different regions in the world that you can think of. Our population is 2.4 billion people, and we have a large young population as well. And we also have several small member states, so half of our member states are small countries. And so that's sort of, I work a lot with the smaller countries in my day-to-day job and helping their economic development. And we find that small countries tend to face particular challenges. And as a Commonwealth Secretariat, we sort of want to support them and support their ability to develop. And so that's kind of what brought me here today. We know a lot of our small states are in this area, in this field of citizenship by investment. And so we want to come and show our support for them and our support for the sustainability of this industry that they're involved in.
So we know some of your members, like Antigua and Barbuda, have kind of outlined their programs. And I know some of your other members are potentially looking at these programs, like Jamaica. Can Commonwealth Secretariat play a role in educating them on how to potentially develop a program?
Sure. I think we're not quite in this space in that way as yet, but I think there's definitely scope for us to get a lot more involved to sort of see where the industry is going and how we can support the industry in being managed in a sustainable way. Maybe come together with a set of principles that that everyone can agree on is the best way forward, and so that everyone's sort of coming together on one sort of platform and knowing the rules of the game and how best to develop it for everyone's benefit, so that it stops it from being sort of a Wild West, but a bit more of a controlled situation. And to also lend our support internationally, knowing what we know about small states and the challenges that they face. We know why they need to protect these new industries that they have. It's important for small states to be able to diversify their economies and to bring in income from various different sources. And so if there's an avenue where they have the ability to generate income, we'd like to see that remain open, to become sustainable, to really, to continue to provide for the country in a good way going forward.
How hard is it going to be to get all these countries to sit down and talk to each other and discuss ideas when in effect they're in competition with each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's the very reason why they need to come together and to talk to each other, because if you start down this competitive road, you can easily slip into this race to the bottom and everyone cutting prices. And that's not really what we want to see. We want to see everyone sort of working together, coming with common principles and a particular operating framework, perhaps, that that there's a common understanding. And at the Commonwealth Secretariat, we feel like we're a trusted partner, that we don't have a horse in the game. We don't really, we don't have one country versus another. We just want to see everyone be able to develop and succeed. So, we think that our members can trust us if we go into this area and we, talk to them about what are the best practices that we need to be adopting in this industry, what sort of rules should we be all adhering to, and that sort of thing. I think there's a role for us to play in that respect.
But Heather, these programs have been running for many years, and we know St. Kitts and Nevis were the pioneers when it came to the program.
Yeah.
So why are you doing this now? Why did you not get involved in this like a few years back when it started going at its peak?
Yeah, I think one of the things why we're sort of now getting involved with this is because on the one hand, the industry is growing.
Yes.
More and more countries are coming on board. They're starting to offer things, and we're seeing, with that happening, we're seeing the more established countries sort of then change, and then things are starting to move and evolve and develop. So we're sort of like, oh, maybe this is an area we should get involved in. And we also have a program on diaspora investment, and this is closely linked with diaspora investment. There are some linkages there that we think, that there's some linkages there that we think marry quite well, and we think there's a space for us to help the industry to grow and develop in a sustainable way.
Excellent. Well, look, we know how powerful the Commonwealth Secretariat are. You've recently this year had CHOGM, and it was hosted in London, and just before the royal wedding, you know, great. And you had all the majority heads of government, you know, pretty much everyone attended.
Yeah.
So was this ever discussed during the heads of government meetings?
No, it wasn't, as a matter of fact. I think one of the things that really sort of got this off the ground, or at least it sort of raised our interest a little bit, was this OECD white paper that came out looking at, you know, the potential abuse of the program and the industry to circumvent the common reporting standard. And we work in the international arena. We know how these things go with those kind of big bodies and these big regulators. And so now we're a little bit more sort of cottoned on and a little bit more sensitive as to, okay, that was the first step. What's going to happen next? And we want to make sure that, and we understand the concerns that are being raised, but we want to make sure that also the benefits that our countries accrue from that can also be safeguarded as well. So, you know, we think that there's a role for us to be, you know, sort of maybe a go-between or some sort of liaison between our member states and perhaps some other international organizations that are looking into the industry.
No, I'm actually pleased the Commonwealth Secretariat are getting involved in this, because, you know, we've seen the increase of investment that's been, and the increase of applications that's been coming into these programs, and we've seen a lot of new countries that actually want to create new programs, but sometimes they need to approach an organization that can actually be the get-together to actually provide that link to another country. As you know, we've said they could be a competition. So do you feel like Commonwealth Secretariat has a really large opportunity here to be the point of contact to potentially develop these programs?
Possibly. I mean, I think it's a little bit too early to say exactly what our role is going to be. But at the same point, we think that, you know, there is that we are quite well connected within our member states, and we think that possibly there's a role for us to play in sort of helping to ease those connections that people that, you know, that live in India that might want to, you know, get in touch with Antigua, that maybe there's a role for us to play in, you know, making those connections work.
Because you already have the communication channels.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
So
Definitely.
that's one of the points. But you
know, So that's definitely an area that we can help with, in terms of maybe, you know, smoothing those transitions and those relationship building.
So I take from, because there's a lot of conferences in relation to nowadays residency and citizenship. Would we be seeing the Commonwealth Secretariat attend a number of these events now?
That would be great. Like I said, I can't say for sure what we're going to do or what we won't do, but we're still very sort of new in this area, and you know, the good thing about being here today was that we really heard from a lot of our member states that we'd love to have you in here. We'd love for you guys to be that sort of, you know, independent voice that's coming through and, you know, helping to steady the ship a little bit in this industry and to lend your support to us. So, you know, we're getting this sort of sense from our members that they want us involved. And so, you know, that only gives us impetus to continue what we're doing. We'll have to see what my bosses say about that, but there's definitely interest from our members, which is good, and that's always a great starting point for us.
Do you think there's a sense that things are getting out of control?
I don't know. I think there's a sense that, you know, that if things aren't, if some things aren't caught quickly, that it has the potential to unravel. But I don't know if I would say it's out of control yet. Yeah, but I think people want to be cautious and like nip it in the bud quickly before things get a bit too much.
Do you think that governments are aware, look, we're dealing with people's families and we're dealing with people's savings, you know, and this is quite important.
Yeah.
We need to, you know, make sure that everything, that you know, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Yes, no, I think there is that awareness that, you know, this is a very serious issue, and it's you know, that from both the side of the investor and the country receiving the investment, and I think everyone wants to ensure that things are done properly and that everything is above board. At the same point, I think there are other sort of factors coming in, and from this competition point of view, that, you know, countries want to remain competitive. So it's about how do they balance these issues that might not necessarily work together.
Excellent. Well, look, we're delighted that the Commonwealth Secretariat is actually looking into this industry more, and I think it's about time.
You're probably right.
And because it's been successful, and we've heard the Prime Minister kind of outline how much contribution from the unit has made towards the economy, and we know a lot of the other smaller Commonwealth members, Commonwealth Secretariat members can actually learn from this and actually create a program for themselves and actually provide a new revenue stream. So would you advise these the smaller countries to potentially look at these programs?
Well, do you know what? I'm personally from a small country myself, and I don't know, honestly, if I'm being completely honest. I think it's a call for the country and the citizens themselves to make. Yeah. I think it works well for certain countries, but probably not as well for other countries, or it means more to certain countries than other countries. The smaller your economy is, the harder it is for you to bring in investment. The more limited your options. Maybe this is a really good avenue for you to look at. And in another country where there are a few more options, maybe this isn't the best choice for you. And to be honest, I think maybe it's not worth everyone rushing into the same market, because then it starts to dilute things and it becomes a little bit less meaningful, and everyone sort of suffers. So I think it's a country by country choice. But I think it really is important for those that have it and that are doing it well, that it remains something that's sustainable, something that that they can benefit from, not just now but in the long term, to help their countries to become more resilient and their economies to be able to deal with, different economic shocks and environmental shocks that might come their way.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure, no problem.
And, thank you. That's,
Okay.
we don't want to grill you too much. That's all right. Thank you very much.